Hi, this is Jack Butler, and today's video is an invitation to bring more awareness to the types of conversation that you engage in or can engage in. I'm going to share with you a three-part distinction that was first shared with me by Justin Wise when he coached me back in 2010. He was the first UK faculty member of New Ventures West, the trainers of integral coaches who are based out here in the Bay, San Francisco Bay. And the distinction has served me really well ever since, and I use that a lot with my clients. So the three-part distinction goes like this: that there's a thing called a conversation for action, there's a conversation for possibility, and there's a conversation for relationship. So this is the first in a two-part video about bringing more conscious awareness, both to how you already have your conversations and really to how you set up and frame the conversations that you're having so that they meet the best purpose that you can have for them. So what's a conversation for action? Conversation for action is about coordinating action with another person. This could be one person, could be a team, could be a partner, could be a child, could be anyone. But where we're really the major aim that we want to get from the conversation is some kind of agreement about action either in the present or in the future. So maybe we want to set a time to go to the cinema, or maybe we want to agree whose responsibility a certain functional area of the business is. Whatever it is that you're agreeing, you actually want to get to some action items. So one way to think about a conversation for action, or whether you've really had one, is I'll be clear at the end of the conversation that there's some actions and that someone's name is against those actions and they're going to be responsible for them. Second type of action, that's a conversation rather, is a conversation for possibility. Now, conversation for possibility is more open in its intention. Conversation for action is convergent, it's trying to converge on specific actions. Conversation for possibility is by its nature more divergent, it's more about what possibly could happen. It's like a brainstorm, it's used as our associative thinking. A conversation for possibility is about dreaming up what things could be, or just in principle having a conversation about different possibilities, different ways forward, but we're not necessarily going to commit to a certain end. If we end up agreeing what the way forward might be, that's absolutely fine as well. But normally a conversation for possibility is about both people coming with an open mind, being open to one another, engaging in some kind of mutual dialogue or brainstorm. And then often we would leave a period of time for that to kind of digest and see what seems most relevant or true about it, and then maybe we're going to come back and have some kind of conversation for action. A conversation for possibility may also go on over a whole period of time. If you're thinking about changing your role in the business, or if you're thinking about leaving the business or starting a new business or looking for business partners, that's not just a one-hit wonder conversation for possibility. I sometimes joke that one of the things that doesn't always appeal to me about co-working spaces is that the very inherent collaborative nature of those spaces can sometimes mean that you meet someone for the first time and they want to be your business partner. And it's almost like a premature conversation for action without enough of a series of ongoing explorations. And really what it is not enough, and this is the third type of conversation, conversations for relationship. Conversations for relationship are a bit like, if you know Daniel Goleman's primal leadership and work on emotional intelligence, he talks about 6 leadership styles. And one of the styles he talks about is affiliative leadership. And affiliative leadership is about affiliation with other people, your partner, your colleagues at work. I remember when I was running Future Foundations in the UK, the social purpose business that I founded that runs leadership development programs and enterprise programs for teenagers. I remember one of my colleagues there for a while, Justin Wise, the Kiwi Justin, great guy. Every morning when he'd come in to at the time we were running the business from our apartment in Clapham Junction in southwest London, every morning that he'd come in, we'd just engage in like a 15-20 minute conversation just about him and life and what was going on and what was relevant. And I know he always appreciated that. I appreciated that because it was like we're foregrounding the fact that our relationship is really important. And on the back of a better relationship, or just a more contactful relationship, more is possible in our conversations for action, our conversations for possibility. So a conversation for relationship, the intent of that is to deepen the relationship, is to foreground the quality of relating. And in subsequent videos, I'm going to go through a whole range of capacities and skills that we can hone in order to have a more deep conversation for a relationship, a more contactful way of relating with people. But the intention alone is really important here. To notice, it's like spending quality time with a child or with someone in your family. To notice that you actually just want to engage in quality time with that person, irrespective of or over and above specific outcomes or specific activities that you're planning. That's really important, and people tune into that. People notice when you want to relate with them purely because you want to relate with them. So you might be thinking now, as you're listening to this, maybe there's a person in your life that you value and that you haven't found that time recently just to be in more contact with them. And maybe having a conversation for a relationship could be useful. You don't have to phrase it that way. This is more of a sort of internal naming. But if you do have colleagues or people in your life that you can share this with, it's actually just useful to be able to pitch and catch and say, is this a conversation for action or is this a conversation for possibility? Entrepreneurs often come from the place of the conversation for possibility because they see all the possibility around them all the time. And more often than not, the biggest challenge for entrepreneurs is focusing specifically on what it is that they want to execute on and then staying true to that. Or conversations for possibility can quickly become conversations for action in a way that we're not conscious of. So we're actually brainstorming, and rather than staying open to the lens of what wants to come through and the ideas that are generated, we kind of too quickly move into a conversation for action. And we try and pin things down. I know that that's sometimes my tendency. I have a great idea, and before I know it, I'm kind of on my website trying to make some changes or creating an Eventbrite page because I want to run the event. And it's almost like a premature action. In great business partnerships, often there might be someone who's a bit more head in the clouds and someone who's a bit more feet on the ground. And that was the experience in a really productive business relationship that I had with John Harper at Future Foundations. And it was almost like my native tendency was towards the conversations for possibility, and his native inclination was towards conversations for action. And that could work really, really well, as long as we both knew which conversation we were in and that we had the ability to articulate, hey, maybe we're talking about different things, or just to notice, hey, we're kind of missing each other. If I get really lost in the realm of possibility and over-ideation, I can notice that people who are more kind of pragmatic, action-oriented, after a while I start to lose them. After a while they're not super tracking me, or they're not so interested in the conversation. So you can pay attention to cues, visual cues, auditory cues in the people around you to see, hey, are we actually still in meaningful engagement in this conversation? So 3 types of conversation: conversation for action, conversation for possibility, conversation for relationship. Can you bring more conscious awareness to the types of conversation that you have and your ability to frame them with other people? Thanks for tuning in this morning. Have a wonderful day.